Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Said I don't wanna leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind. Baby, I've got your number, and I know that you got mine. You know that I called you. I called too many times. You got to call me, baby. You can call me anytime. You got to call me. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here. Oh, I'll turn right back around. Said I don't want to leave you lonely. You better make me change my mind.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. We could be. We might be. It looks like we're trying to be. We are live. Live, ladies and gentlemen, here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel. Welcome back, children of all ages, boys and girls, to the, what did I say? The show where I hold our shit talking and shenanigans from the I'm No Joe podcast accountable to what actually happened at the events that we broke down for you lovely folks. So first and foremost, I do want to thank all the folks who are in the chat here live with us for stopping in. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I also appreciate each and every one of you who are catching this on a replay equally as well. If the punchy, kicky, shenaniganry, shit-talking that we provide here on the I'm No Joe channel is something you are interested in getting more of, you can find us on all social media platforms at I'm No Joe. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, obviously we are here at YouTube. But if this all Instagram influencer level faces that we provide are too distracting for you, fret not, mon ami, we have got you covered there as well. You can catch the I'm No Joe podcast in all audio form on your podcast consuming platform of choice through anchor.fm/I'm No Joe for the unfettered goodness. Equally as important, if you would like to support what we do here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel and the I'm No Joe empire here, you can go to patreon.com/I'm No Joe and get access to the behind the scenes, the unaired, and some would even say the unairable things that we do around here. That being said, 252 is officially in the books, folks. Backstreet Boys be damned, we have got another pay-per-view checked off the damn list. We have got another title fight checked off the damn list. And probably my favorite moment of the whole fucking evening, we had a hype train absolutely fucking derailed live for the world to watch on pay-per-view. So, first and foremost, I do have to apologize to everyone who was here last week. My allergies are better, but not gone, so I will be better than I was last week. But as you can tell, we're already fighting, so let me hit a little hit a little nasal spray and catch a drink real quick. I will try not to sniffle, sneeze, or snot too much for you. Oh. Okay, so first and foremost, I understand the UFC doesn't really have a whole lot of options right now. For the most part, it's pretty much either an event at the Apex Center or we go all the way back to Abu Dhabi. There really isn't a whole lot of gray area, and I get that. And I get that that makes it a little tricky to keep putting on events right now the way that the UFC has been, especially pay-per-view events. But that being said, I don't understand how the UFC has the money, resources, and manpower to put something like the Performance Institute together, which is fucking glorious. And then on that, the back part of that same piece of property, build something like the Apex and have literally millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment and camera gear and playbacks and, you know, everything a fighter could possibly need to train in any aspect in that little compound area that they've got it all in, but somehow not be able to put a 30-foot octagon in the Apex for regular fights. Now, I understand having a 25 and a 30-foot octagon, sometimes you just don't have as much real estate. Equally, sometimes you've got soup cans fighting, like for the Contender Series, which is what the Apex was originally built for. If you're talking about guys who are unsigned trying to get their contract, I completely understand using that 25-foot cage. But when you have a guy who's been fighting professionally, excuse me, professionally on the championship level at that for a decade and a half now, and they have virtually always fought in that 30-foot cage, and they are the world champion. I think at that point, they have earned the right to get the 30-foot cage they have spent the majority of their career using and training with. And seeing as how it's literally just a matter of swapping out cages in a building owned by the UFC and a cage that would also be owned by the UFC, while the UFC staff has employees there literally just to set up and take down cages, I don't think would be an unrealistic expectation, and it kind of boggles my fucking mind why we don't have that yet. I get the 25-foot cage in the Apex for the Contender Series, but this is now the third? Is it the third or fourth? I see. It's all starting to blur together for me now. It's either the third or the fourth pay-per-view event we have seen from the Apex in that 25-foot octagon, and it has notably changed some of the fights. I'm not saying that last night's events would have been drastically different if we would have had the 30-foot cage, but I guarantee you they would have been notably different than how they played out in the smaller cage. That being said, as has been the case with most cards since the Backstreet Boys has entered our lives, it was not without its fluff, even though it was a pay-per-view card. The early prelims sucked. Basically, there was a lot of moving around again on this card because nothing is safe with Backstreet Boys and all the craziness that's going on right now. So this card had some moving around done to it as well. We ended up going from no early prelims yesterday to no early prelims on Friday to 2 early prelim fights on Saturday. I believe both of them were last-minute, short notice debuts for both fighters. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, it wasn't that entertaining, so I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. Sue me. Let's see here. The one I will say, Chris Dawkins, I believe his name was. I want to say he was another firefighter making his debut coming off the Contender Series, if I remember correctly. If not the Contender Series, then coming off of another organization. I know he had just fought, regardless, in another organization not long ago for a title, so he was in good shape and looked fucking spectacular. On to the actual prelims themselves. I get the shit-talking and self-promotion aspect of fighting. What I don't get is when you've made one step above soup can. This being soup can, you are now here. So you are no longer a soup can, but you are still way, way, way below the upper echelon, the world class. How you get the balls to just start calling out any and everyone. Souza, before the match went down, was on social media Saturday talking shit to Mackenzie Dern. Spoiler alert, she did not fight Mackenzie Dern Saturday night, has no match scheduled with Mackenzie Dern. There is, to the best of my knowledge and what I could find, no interest whatsoever in making a matchup between her and Mackenzie Dern. I'm assuming they have something personal from back in the Brazil days, but she was calling out Mackenzie Dern before she had another fight. That being said, that fight was not incredibly exciting to begin with. Did I have... Give me just a second here. I think I had another note on the other page that I might have forgotten about. Let me double check. No, I did not. Okay. Sorry about that. False alarm. Yeah, no, okay, sorry. No. Souza was already focused on talking shit to Mackenzie Dern before her fight ever even started. Spoiler alert, she was also very distracted seeming in the fight, and I feel got a very, very generous gift of a W in that match. The ironic bit is that Ashley Yoder won that fight, in my opinion. Hands fucking down. Ashley Yoder won her fight. Not only did she outstrike her opponent, she actually was out jitzing and out grappling, I feel. I don't understand that fucking... The judges were clearly on some shit, but only to a certain degree, which is ironic. It's almost like they had favorites they were playing or something. I know that's an unheard of thing in judging officiating, but there's a gentleman who loves him some camo shorts that we are a big proponent of his fighting style around the I'm No Joe channel here, and apparently he's got a training partner who got himself into the UFC off of the merits of training with one Arkansan known affectionately as Thug Nasty. Word around the water cooler was that his training partner is every bit the firestorm that he is, and that he's about to make his debut and start tearing it up for the Arkansas boys that have been making a scene lately. Danny Chavez decided to put a let's slow the fuck down order on that little piece of news. Apparently he did not get the memo that this was supposed to be Mr. Mitchell's training partner's evening, and Danny Chavez says, you know what, nah, hold my beer, I'm about to put in some motherfucking work, and he did. So I will just say, if that is training partner demonstration from Camp Thug Nasty, you better look out for guys like Danny Chavez, because he will walk through everyone in that fucking camp. He looks spectacular. And for a guy who's supposed to come in and kind of demonstrate or show off an example of the skill set that they have over at Westside MMA, where Thug Nasty trains, you, sir, failed miserably. Now, kind of an interesting one here. Excuse me. We talked about it. We kind of prepped it. We knew that Felice Herring, having been out of the octagon for almost 2 years and then coming off of 2 major losses in a row before that, means that we were looking at a Felice Herring who hasn't had the concept of winning a fight fresh in her mind for going on almost 5 years now. Early 2016 was the last time there was a winning Felice Herrig for anyone to watch. So that takes a toll on your mentality, aside from the major and devastating fucking knee injury that she had that took her a year and change to recover from. We knew that there was a good possibility we were going to see a Felice Herrig who had lost a step or two and was going to be suffering from a little bit of a thing we refer to as ring rust. And then we got to the cage on Saturday night, and what we saw was a beautiful example of ring rust. Obviously, Felice Herrig still had muscle memory. She still throws strikes. She still moved around a little bit, but those are things that you can retain by training. The actual act of being in the fight, in the moment, and reacting in real time to things is not the same as sparring or training with a partner, and that was very evident when she stepped in against Verna Jandarova. The issue is when someone comes in against a fighter who displays a clear case of ring rust, it's hard not to look good against them unless you yourself just absolutely look like shit. Credit where credit is due. To be fair, Verna did not look like shit, but she did look very meh against a notably rusty Felice Herrig. That being said, she grabbed Felice's arm and tried to rip that motherfucker off and got a very nice submission against a kickboxer, which, again, kickboxing against jiu-jitsu, the kickboxer being 4 years out of the winning side of the ring, 2 years out of the ring, period. That being said, credit where credit is due. Props to Verna for taking home a win, and we'll talk about her again here in just a little bit. But that will bring us to the fight that had me the most excited for this whole fucking card, even knowing that it would be potentially the last time we ever have to see DC. This fight had me more excited than the fucking main or the co-main event. Jim Miller versus Vince Pichel. This is another one of those great examples of why MMA math doesn't work. On paper, everything was set for Jim Miller to walk in Saturday night, take the record for most fights and most wins in the UFC away from Cowboy, and be the holder of both records now. That didn't happen. And it sucks. I don't laugh to make light of it. I laugh at the irony of the whole situation. I am a huge Jim Miller fan. We are pretty much all huge Jim Miller fans around the I'm No Joe YouTube channel. Saturday night was the most human we have seen Jim Miller look in a long time. A long fucking time. This, unlike Verna versus Felice, this was a very different thing. In the Verna versus Felice fight, Felice looked like shit. And Verna didn't look great, but she capitalized on Felice looking like shit. In this situation, Jim looked good. Jim Miller still looked fucking good. His striking was good. His grappling and his submission attempts were fucking great. He was on point. He never really got dominated much, if at all. If you would consider some of it domination, it was only a few times here and there. But man, out of nowhere, Vince Pichel just had all the switches flipped and the buttons pressed walking out Saturday night. He looked spectacular. Not that I have anything against Vince Pichel by any stretch of the imagination, but I do not ever remember seeing him look as good as he looked against Jim Miller on Saturday night, and that is a doubly great thing for Vince Pichel. Not only does that show him, or excuse me, show folks how good he can look, it shows folks how good he can look against a dangerous person like Jim Miller. For all intents and purposes, everybody on the show and pretty much everyone that I talked to or read opinions from had, I'm not saying counted Pichel out, but it really looked like it was going to be a Jim Miller masterclass, again, like it has been his last few fights, and that is not at all how it played out. Pichel was just a little faster, he was a little stronger, and he was a little smoother than Jim was the entire fight. Props to Vince Pichel. It sucks. You never want to see somebody you root for lose, but man, Jim didn't give it away, and Vince wasn't fucking around. This was a legit fight. Jim Miller was giving it everything he fucking had. He didn't lay down or roll over by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he, as well as all of us, were completely fucking surprised by the Vince Pichel that we saw Saturday night, because that's not a Vince Pichel that any of us have ever seen before, as far as I can remember. That being said, I was a little surprised. The opening fight on the main card, Dodson versus Merab. We talked about it the other night, that we knew Merab's game plan coming in. He wanted to land more than 14 takedowns so he could break his own record. Credit to Dodson. He apparently got the memo and decided, no, we will not be doing that. He absolutely still lost the fight. Dodson absolutely just did not have what it took to stop Merab everywhere. But when it comes to stopping takedowns, he legitimately did a much better job than I think anyone was anticipating him doing. Merab shot for 20 attempted takedowns in 3 rounds, but only secured 3 of them. The ironic bit about that is that in attempting 20 takedowns and only securing 3, he could have done more. He could have thrown more attempts. He could have disguised his attempts a little more. And he could have done more striking when he wasn't shooting all the time for a fucking takedown. Merab is absolutely going to be a dangerous contender in that division, but he's still got to round those edges off a little bit. He's still very rough around the corners in a lot of areas. He's definitely got a good fucking head of steam on him, and he's on the right trail. But he also very clearly still has some things he needs to polish out. That being said, Merab Dvalishvili is absolutely going to be one of the most fun guys to watch come up through the UFC. Then comes to possibly the craziest, unpredictable upset of the evening. I don't know why I'm so fucking tired all of a sudden. Sorry about that. Daniel Pineda, versus Herbert Burns. Battery's dying here. I think everyone, pretty much everyone, including the Pineda corner, were very surprised with how that fight went. I and most people that I have talked to or seen opinions by pretty much counted Daniel Pineda out. He's got a history of steroids. He has bounced around to virtually every major and every A and B list MMA organization in the country for the most part, and never really had what you would refer to as success. He hasn't really been a soup can for a while, but he is not what you would call championship material. He was a middle of the roader or a middle of the packer. He was what we like to affectionately call a mediocre at best fighter for some years now. That being said, even a blind squirrel can find a nut once in a while if he's lucky enough. Saturday night was apparently Daniel Pineda's night. He, I've seen the fight 6, 7 times at this point, and I still can't figure out how in the scramble that led to the end of that match, he managed to get top position on Herbert Burns, turn him sideways, pin Herbert's arm behind his leg, and then hold his other arm off in a almost crucifix position, but not quite, while they spun in a circle as Burns tried to escape. I think we ended up with a total of 5 circles that they spun while Herbert was trying to get out of there. But the entire time they were on the ground and spinning like that, Pineda was dropping hammer fists and short fucking elbows to an undefending and unanswered Herbert Burns. I have never seen Herbert Burns get worked like that. I have never seen Herbert Burns get caught in a position like that even. Props to Daniel Pineda for catching and holding Herbert Burns there, because he absolutely laid down, I would say, a good legitimate 45 seconds, 30 to 45 real-time seconds, not exaggerated in the fight moment seconds, like real-time seconds worth of unanswered fucking ground and pound. And man, Herbert Burns fucking wore it. He wore that ass whooping. I don't know that that trick would work a second time. I don't know that that trick will work against the vast majority of the rest of the UFC. But that being said, hey, credit where credit is due. Enjoy that W, sir. You absolutely earned that one. That one. Enjoy that one, because you earned that one. I don't know how many more Mr. Pineda is going to get in his W column here in the UFC, but hey, you earned that one, and you earned that one against a tough dude, so hats the fuck off to you for it. That being said, we knew that there was a chance. We weren't sure how much of a chance because we hadn't seen it before, but we knew there was a chance that that Ngannou knockout was going to seriously affect Rosenstruik when he got in there with JDS. We knew it was going to be an interesting match. It wasn't going to be it wasn't going to be a walk in the park. We know I'm about to sneeze. Hang on. Sneezed 4 times apparently. Huh. Sorry about that. We knew that there was a chance that we were going to see a different Rosenstruik step into the octagon after what happened with Francis. You don't get melted against the fucking cage like that without any repercussions. Nobody bounces 100% back from that immediately. There's always some kind of a lingering or lasting effect that you literally just have to work through. We weren't sure if Rosenstruik had made it to that point yet, if he had worked through the obvious PTSD you're going to have of a fucking 265-pound man literally freight train steamrolling you into unconsciousness. Well, we got to see that Saturday night. Jairzinho is fucking strong. I mean, Francis Ngannou is literally a freak of nature. That motherfucker's on a whole nother level. But goddamn if Jairzinho is not close. Francis is a freak of fucking freaks. That's all there is to it. But the power that Jairzinho has shown against Overeem when he literally exploded his fucking lip that required plastic surgery, and then against JDS on Saturday night, man, that motherfucker, as a world-class kickboxer, has the technical striking. As a heavyweight, has the power. But after that fucking Ngannou fight, he's got to get his mentality right, because he was very gun-shy for the vast majority of the whole fucking fight Saturday night. Obviously, he got the result he was looking for. He got the work done, but it was a painful road to watch getting there. He was very, very hesitant to pull the trigger at several different points when he had wide open shots, wide open, clear as day shots. He was obviously still too shaken or too unsteady to pull the trigger and actually make it happen. Good fight. I hope he's back on the right fucking track. I hope we get to see the Jairzinho that we saw when he first got into the UFC, rather. I don't know that we will, but we'll see. We'll see. I think JDS, ironically enough, as old as he looks, and he does, I still think JDS comes back again. I don't think he's done. I think JDS comes back. I think he's got, I'm gonna conservatively say 3 fights left in him. I don't think JDS has more than 3 left. He might. I could be wrong. But based on the way we've seen his fighting skill deteriorating over the last several matches, I don't think he's got many more than 3 left in him. That will bring us to the co-main event of the evening. Oh, sorry. I had to pine and relive the memory again in my head for a moment. Since it happened, hang on just a second. My fucking nose is in a marathon right now. Sorry about that. There comes a point in real life. Obviously, virtual life is a little bit different for the most part, but in real life, specifically in MMA, but in most aspects of real life, where regardless of how long it takes, the outcome of how you have presented yourself to a situation, generally speaking, balances out in the long run. There has been a situation in the bantamweight division for a little while now that is very, very unnaturally imbalanced. There was a train that was rolling through pizza delivery guys and door-to-door vacuum salesmen and just wrecking a path through the Campbell's aisle in your local neighborhood grocery stores. In flashy color and flashy movement fashion, bolsterous and loudly declaring itself to be the future. Sorry, I just got a message. That was wrong. It was undeserved, and it was wrong. But as is the case most of the time, the universe corrected itself and brought things back to a state of balance, as all things should be, to quote a Grimace, angry space California raisin. we say it all the time. You can't overlook the guy in front of you. I don't care how confident you are, how future mindset you developed yourself to be, how goal oriented you are. I don't fucking care. If you fight for a living, the one thing that has to be on your mind is your next fight. The fight right in front of you. Don't look at the fight that you're going to set up after that, or a possibility that you could have if you win this, or what you would set up do if you lose. You look at that fight, because the fight you're about to get into is the most important fight in your career every time you get into a fight. Period. Sean O'Malley doesn't understand that. Sean O'Malley spent the last week ignoring and trying to rile up Cheeto Vera on social media and calling out Cody Garbrandt, who has left the bantamweight division to go down to flyweight and is getting his title shot next month, I believe. Confirmed, already set, contract signed, dates picked, posters are being made. Cody's going to flyweight and he's getting the title shot. He's going to fight Figueiredo. But for whatever reason, Sean was just convinced that he's the fucking future, he's the best, and he really hasn't done anything that impressive to warrant that fucking hype. And some of us have been trying to remind the world of that. He has only fought other people from the Contender Series, low or no, he hasn't even fought a numbered guy yet. He fought unranked Sukans, and then Eddie Wineland, who is a former UFC fighter, who was himself several years removed from anything resembling greatness. And he was just building his own fucking hype. He was really sniffing his own farts and smelling what he was selling. Like he was drinking his own fucking Kool-Aid hard. And then came Cheeto Vera. And, Cheeto ain't no bitch. And Cheeto knew what he was up against, and Cheeto trained for what he was up against, and Cheeto came in, and Cheeto fucked Sean O'Malley up. And it has been a very big point of contention on the internet ever since, because the fight ended in an awkward-looking fashion. It almost looked like O'Malley broke his leg, or hurt his ankle, rolled his ankle, twisted his ankle, and kind of collapsed, and Cheeto dove on him and fucking pounded him and pounded him and pounded him, and he stopped defending, and the fight was stopped. The vast majority of the fucking... I hate to say it, but I'm gonna. The vast majority of the casuals and the folks who don't know what they're watching when they watch a fight have been crying and screaming all day, "He didn't beat O'Malley. O'Malley hurt himself. Burp, derp, derp." No. There is a great breakdown video out there. I believe it's by MMA Focus. Excuse me. I believe. Not 100% sure. I'll go back and check after this, and I'll drop that link in the description down below. They actually went and broke it down exactly for you medically what happened to Sean O'Malley. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I don't know the common term for these things, so I'm not going to try and remember the name of it, but there is a nerve that runs down the back of your knee through your leg behind your shin that controls basically the lower portion of your leg. It is an extension of your sciatic nerve. Sorry. Cheeto Vera threw it looked initially like a low calf kick, and it actually wasn't. In the moment, in the slow-mo, you can see he threw it as a low calf kick and then brought it up a little bit, and it actually landed directly on the side and the back of Sean O'Malley's knee, and the front of the foot came almost all the way around and clipped clean. What happens when you get hit just right in the back of the knee is kind of the adverse effect of when a doctor uses a little rubber hammer to check the reflexes in your elbow. When you get hit in the front of your elbow here, your arm twitches out. When you get hit in the back of the elbow, your arm twitches up. You get hit in the back of the knee hard enough to touch the nerve, your leg doesn't jump, your leg doesn't curl, your leg shuts off. Your leg goes numb. You develop temporary neuropathy in that leg. It deadens the control in the nerves in the lower leg from the knee down. That's exactly what happened to Sean O'Malley. You can watch the replay, and they actually slowed it down even more, so you can see Cheeto lands the leg kick. O'Malley immediately tries to switch stances, and his foot curls underneath him as he tries to stand on it, which is where you see the wobble. Hang on, my nose is going to marathon on us again here. 1 second, I apologize. Sorry about that. But you see in the replay very clearly, Marlon throws what looks to be a low calf kick, brings it up, lands it perfectly on the side and back of O'Malley's kneecap. He goes to adjust from it, goes to take a step, and you see his toes physically curl under his foot, and he goes to put his weight on it, and he can't control his ankle anymore. And his ankle kind of rolls a little bit, he almost steps on his foot, and he wobbles, which is what you see early, setting up the ending sequence. That's when you see Cheeto start to move in, and O'Malley kind of falls more than gets knocked down, really, in the clip where they scuffle. But then Vera obviously jumps on top of him and pounded the shit out of him. Sorry, I'm getting messages and I got dogs jumping. Crazy shit. Marlon Vera knew exactly what the fuck he was doing. He trained specifically to fight a guy as showy and as flashy as O'Malley. He went and he implemented his game plan that he had built for a guy as showy and as flashy as O'Malley, and he got the work done. Hype train ended. O'Malley even texted out or tweeted out today, one word: humbled. Know your fucking role. It's great to have confidence in yourself, but when it's undeserved and it's undue, you can't be surprised when you lose it that easily, because Cheeto Vera really did make it look pretty fucking easy. So that will bring us to the reason for the season, the namesake of the event. Cormier versus Miocic 3. The trilogy, Cormier's final prospective match. Oh, the irony. Almost as if on cue and fucking predicted. DC poked Stipe in the eye. I believe it was either in the first round or the second round. Right early in the fucking fight. DC very clearly and very discernibly finger fucked Stipe's eye. Again. There was another graze shortly after that wasn't a full-on eye poke, but you can tell it was real fucking close. And it wasn't that it was necessarily intentional, it was that Daniel was being sloppy, like he generally does with his hands, which is why he pokes everyone in the fucking eye. Well, surprise, as the universe saw fit and karma thought to disperse a little retribution on the evening, late in the fight, I believe it was the end of the fourth round, literally like seconds before the end of the fourth round, in an exchange, DC gets a finger from Stipe in the eye. And it's unintentional, but it's clearly a finger in the eye. DC literally ran away from the fight and tried to cry to Herb Dean about it as the round ended. Spoiler alert, Stipe's eye had already been hit twice by that point and looked way worse, and he kept blinking and brushing away at it, so you could tell it was actually still bothering him. But it did go the distance. Stipe was looking better than he has in a long fucking time. He moved better. He struck better. He was in physically better shape than he has been in a long time, and he just outworked, flat out, Daniel Cormier. He beat Daniel Cormier all the way around. One judge gave him one round. It was that definitive. Stipe is the heavyweight GOAT. Was the heavyweight GOAT regardless of the outcome of this fight, because he holds the record for most title defenses. He also has the record for most heavyweight wins. Stipe is the heavyweight GOAT, Period. Nothing about the outcome of Saturday night would have changed that. Even if somehow Cormier would have won, he still would not have been the GOAT. He would have just taken the title back in a literal back and forth match. So, fuck you, DC. Go be a coach somewhere, which you will be spectacular at, but hopefully we don't have to see him fucking fight anymore. I don't want to see him back unless it's for the Jones trilogy at heavyweight. Literally, no other fight for DC interests me at all whatsoever. Period. One fight only, John Jones at heavyweight. Period. Other than that, stay fucking retired. Commentate, coach, do your thing. Don't get the fuck back in the octagon. That being said, we did get a fight of the night for UFC 252. We got a fight of the night and a typical 2 performance of the night bonuses. Performance of the night bonus went to Daniel Pineda for that crazy fucking stoppage of Herbert Burns, and then to Verna Jandiroba for the stoppage of Felice Herrig. Yeah, sorry, took me a second there. Interestingly enough, though, the fight of the night went to the opening match, Kamaka versus Kelly. I don't agree that it was the best fight on the card. Dana said it was. It was a good fight. I don't agree that it was the best on the card, though. But that is all we've got for this particular episode here. We may not have a Joe Liminaries this week. I may have to go out of town, so I might not be here Wednesday night to do a Joe Liminaries. I might not be on Cloudy Bunker. We will still have a full I'm No Joe podcast on Thursday, though, to break down this weekend's card, because this is another one of those interesting, weird fucking UFC cards that we've got in the times of the Backstreet Boys. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down for you wonderful folks. But that is all we've got for this particular episode for this evening. Thank you again to everyone who was here live. Thank you to everyone who catches us on a replay. I appreciate you all. If you enjoyed the show, drop a thumbs up down there. I'd appreciate it. If I brought you a recap or a point of view that you really just didn't have anywhere else, subscribe. I do this at least once a week, every week. If I blew your fucking mind and how accurate my predictions of that hype train of O'Malley getting fucking derailed was, share an episode of the show. Any episode, I don't mind. We're trying to grow this damn thing. On the other side of that coin, if I'm just some dipshit in his living room talking out my ass without knowing what the fuck I'm saying, and I've got dumbass friends that come along and do it with me, give me a thumbs down. We earned it, and we won't dispute it. That being said, we are going to call it all for this evening, so until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless, at this point, you just...
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.